And welcome to another episode of Trailblazers Rising, strategies for scaling beyond limits. Today, I'm very excited to have my guest, Chelsea of Replenish and Rise on. And before we even get to talking, I want everybody to know that I have fangirled over this human being on the TikTok and the Instagram for as long as I can remember, because I don't understand how time works. Oh, Chelsea, I want to thank you so much for being here, and we will just dive right into some fun questions.
Amazing. Also, the fangirling mutual, just to set the scene. Mutual fangirling. Obsessed with you.
Oh, thank you. It's just the pink hair. That's what everybody, I'm a visual sim.
It's colored hair. Yes, the colored hair connection.
We love our vivids. All right, so we're going to dive right in because, of course, we speak to neurospicy entrepreneurs. We speak to the unconventional here, and we speak to the insanely motivated and driven. So we'll dive right in, and I will ask you what I ask everyone. Can you spill the beans on your journey to becoming an entrepreneur?
Oh my God. What a loaded, wild question.
For you. What made you go, all right, I got to do this?
So I have been an entrepreneur since I can remember. I had, I think, two and a half normal jobs. My first normal job was as a hostess, and I have a great hostess voice. I was also a terrible barista for about 3 months. I have never been worse at something than being a barista. Low point. Great learning opportunity. But in high school, I picked up a camera, the backstory that I have an older sibling, and I'm obsessed with that. And classic, little duckling, little sibling. They loved photos. They loved cameras. And I was like, oh my God, me too. And so that was my very first foray into taking photos. I think my first job, I got paid $20 for gas money. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be gas for the whole month. And that was back in 2007 or something. And then it just kind of continued. I went to community college and I was I didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I realized that I was kind of doing it already. And I was like, oh, wait, I could just be a photographer. This is a thing that people do. And then that just kind of kept going. So I didn't have the idea this is something I wanted to always grow up and be. It was something that I think this devalues my lifelong, passion of being a photographer a little bit, but it was never something I dreamed of being. It was absolutely an outlet for me and kind of a therapy before I started charging for it. And so I went from charging, $25 an hour to $50 an hour to now $800 to $1,000 an hour. And I've been doing wedding photography for the last years. I've done a little bit more. Really full time, the last 10 years. And then in the last 3.5, I started my coaching practice, my coaching company, and I love it. That was born of being really, really, really burnt out with photography. The other neurospices might vibe with the burnout scenario. I've been doing it for so long. And to be clear, I still love it. My photography business is still open, but I'd gotten to a point where I was making great money. I made my first $200,000. Now, this should feel good, right? I don't feel good. I'm just tired. My relationships were all crumbling. I had lost weight, but not in a great way. And then I was just flip-flopping back and forth. And then I gained 20 pounds. And I was I am deeply unstable, ungrounded. It just looks nice on the outside. It's just cool that I did this, but there's nothing else that feels very cool about where I'm at right now. So I wasn't really feeling inspired anymore. And that was right before the pandemic. So I had just spoken on a stage right before the pandemic. And weeks later, I went to Bora Bora. This was crown achievement time in my life that I've made my $200,000. We went on a trip to Bora Bora. I started my coaching and I sold out my first 8 spots and all in Bora Bora. And it was this is amazing. And none of it felt good. I was just panicking. And then immediately COVID hit. It was the very first time that I actually had to sit still, which this was way before I even had any inkling that I might have, ADHD or any sort of neurodivergence. And so being forced to sit still for the very first time in my life, the beginning of COVID was atrocious. It was really rough. However, I will say on the other side, especially going through it as an entrepreneur, as a wife, as a friend, as someone who likes myself now, the opportunity to have to sit down and look at all those things. I'm okay, what do I actually want to be doing in my entrepreneurial journey? Is this and with photography, that just shut down. So I was okay, well, I'd like to do this, but what do I do now? How do we move from this? How do I manage all of this stress? How do I manage my relationships? The driver for entrepreneurship for me was always just kind of safety and stability.
Hold on, everybody. Hold on. Let me hold my microphone close for this part because I want everybody to hear this part. Okay. So and I work with a lot of different ranging people in different businesses, right? I don't really care where your
Mhm.
business is. You just
Yeah.
got to be neurospicy and driven
Love
to
it.
work with me. And when people say, well, but it's not, but my job, I can't get rid of my muggle. We call it a muggle job at the Neurospicy Academy. I can't get rid of my muggle job because, it's stable. And here's the thing. You could work anywhere for any length of time and somebody could just come in and say, you messed up, you're fired.
Bye.
That's enough. We're closing the company. I worked in restaurants for a very long time and I closed down the Hops on Fowler Avenue in Tampa, Florida in I don't know. Something like that. Time isn't real. And there was a Sunday and I made my best money I'd ever made on that Sunday. And I always worked a double on Sunday, made the best money I'd ever made. And the owners and the corporate people walked in at 9 p.m. and said, help us take everything off the walls. We're not opening tomorrow. And so for you to say to everyone that entrepreneurship was your guarantee is what I want everybody to listen to and write down right now. I don't care where you are listening to this. Write it down because it's so true. It is so true. So then how would you say going from photography to coaching, that's got to put you through a little bit of a ringer, a little bit of a
Absolutely.
little upside down time. So did you start coaching because of COVID and it shutting everything down?
No, I felt kind of grateful that I hadn't because it felt like everybody did, which that doesn't matter. And that was my own judgment on it at that time. I started in like that December. I had been in photography for so many years. I was part of like a business group and there was a lot of people like I was getting asked questions. So I started my coaching business not as a coaching business. It was just mentorship. So I was offering photography mentorships because that made sense. Because obviously I knew what I was doing. I had built a business enough, but I built it a little bit differently, which makes so much more sense now that knowing who I am, knowing we've got some spicy in there. I didn't build it in the traditional ways. So that felt like I had an edge on being able to mentor that way. I mentored for about like 3 or 4 months and then COVID hit. And then a couple of my clients stayed on, a couple of them came off and we were all just, surviving. But it shifted pretty quickly. Like I just got more and more burnt out with coaching or with photography over the course of the pandemic, just because it was so deeply stressful. Like my stress, my client's stress, like it was just awful. Everyone was surviving, like in the wedding chakra specifically, in wedding world, everybody gets a gold star. Everybody roses, amazing. So I got more and more burnt out. And then I realized like, I don't really want to just be in this industry. And I also know that what I'm doing, like, I don't want to teach people how to start a photography business. I have no interest in like the practical tech. Here's how you start a blog or like, here's the web. I'm like, I had no interest. I was like, gouge my eyes out. No. So if I knew like, as a master of my own reality, if I'm going to choose what I want it to be something that actually feels good for me, like on a deeper level, not just as a convenient addition. So I shifted into mindset coaching. I had hired a couple of coaches on my own, which is where I kind of got the idea. I was like, oh, I don't really want to learn about sales or marketing. I hired someone for that. And I was like, this isn't what I want. And I hired my first transformational coach. And I was like, oh my God, this is the thing. I had bucked therapy like my entire life. I was like, growing up in the 90s, therapy is for broken people and sad things. And so getting into coaching with her, I was like, oh, this is kind of like therapy, but in a good way. And it reached me from a business lens through. So I could take things from that business perspective and then choose to like gently assimilate them in my personal life. And then we realized obviously that they're not separate. So over that course, I ended up doing an apprenticeship and a ton of different training. So I'm a certified practitioner of hypnotherapy, a certified NLP practitioner, a certified online business coach. I did all those things. I did a 14-month apprenticeship with her. And I was like, I absolutely know that I want to be doing this transformational mindset coaching. So mindset, it's always, I feel like you absolutely do transformational work with people.
I am a business mindset coach that focuses on not just mindset, but also,
Oh, you froze.
and through the lens of neurodivergence, because we've spent the majority of our life having to change everything that we're taught into a way that we can actually use and is actionable. So I really just call myself the, neurospicy business mindset coach, because that's the only people I work with. I won't work with the normies ever again.
I love that because I thought that I was convinced that I was a normie my entire life. And so I never had the experience of having to try things. I was the opposite. I spent my whole life just cramming myself. I'm like, this is how it should work. This is how everyone else is doing it. And I just had no idea. Like the only ADHD person I'd met was like my best friend's brother. And they were like a super religio family. And so they're like, it's awful. Like it's the worst thing ever. So I was like, no, I am just fine. I'm perfect. look at me fitting in. So I never had the experience of having to realize that I thought differently. I just thought I never realized that people thought differently either, or that wasn't hard for other people or things like that. So I love that perspective. Like, you have shaped things for you, and I have had the unfortunate shaping myself for my world around me without even realizing. So now, and then in COVID, so that was the shift. Switching into coaching, realizing that there was so much more that I wanted to do. That was the first time I had heard of multi-passionate. I cannot say enough good things about TikTok, but hearing about multi-passionate and hearing about neurodivergence, classic case of the late identifying ADHD, bisexual, multi-passionate person. I'm like, oh, hi, where's the support group for these people?
Yeah. The good news is, even if you are late diagnosed, right? Or even if you have known things about yourself for your entire life, you don't always understand it and process it.
Yes.
And I knew since I was 15 years old that I was bisexual. And because I was born in 1980 and we were hypersexualized in the 90s, luckily these kids nowadays are just worried about pronouns and how you want to be spoken to. And in the 90s, we were expected to know what DSLs were. I knew what those were at a very young age because I have a big mouth. But I knew I was bisexual. I fought for my ADHD diagnosis when I was 23 or 24 years old because my kids were very little. My husband's in the Navy. He was gone all the time. And it just wasn't working. Everything I was doing wasn't working. And so I did my research because I'm neurospicy and all I do is read. And I went into the doctor's office and I was like, I know this is what it is. And they don't like it when you do that because then you're undermining them. And how can you possibly know? And I'm like, how are you going to find the information? Are you going to Google it? So why is it any different when I Google something than when you do it? Anyway, so I knew all these things for a very young age, but they didn't necessarily resonate in a way that impacted my life. I was still living that life of this is how you behave. This is what you are supposed to do. So now I make sure that I don't use the word should, have to, need, and supposed to anymore. I replace those words or omit them completely. Because how old are you, Chelsea?
I am 32 next month.
We're in April.
Next month. Yes, thank you. May. 32 in May. So I'm a 90s baby. No, 91. Oh my God.
What?
91 girl. Yeah, so I'm 32.
Yeah. When I tell you, the one thing that keeps me going all the time is the thought that I spent the first 30 some odd years of my life sacrificing myself or completely abandoning myself and my needs to make everybody else around me comfortable. Now, the only thing that I am focused on is making myself comfortable.
The listeners, I am bowing down to that because that is exactly how it feels right now. Absolutely. So the people pleaser, high performer, perfectionist pipeline to burnt out entrepreneur trying to just maintain what they built. And that's part of what I loved about shifting into coaching, especially into this transformational business mindset, confidence, clarity space, however we want to, all the good ingredients want to put in there. That was my biggest aha moment when I started burning out with photography, where it didn't matter. The goal never ever mattered because I didn't like myself on the way. And I didn't like myself when I got there. I didn't like what I had built, and I had built something that didn't support the life that I wanted. I had built it without any real knowledge or any awareness of what I valued. And I thought it was just metrics. I thought it was just money. And I deeply value money. Listen, I love money. Money loves me. However, I know how it connects now. And so I can build my business and I can help people much more mindfully. And I think that's the easiest pitfall. It's oh yeah, I'm just here to make money and I'm here to do my job or whatever. But that catches up eventually. Because if it's not built on a really good, juicy, nourishing foundation that helps you replenish and rise, then you will hit a wall. It's just
absolutely
the day is night, night is day. Yeah. But coming back, I love that. Coming back to our original question about the transition period, wherever we had that question ages ago, that's how this last year has been. And so since I started coaching, the first year was kind of figuring it out. And I was like, oh, I definitely want to be more in this space. I would definitely want to be helping people with mindsets. I was riddled with imposter syndrome. And so I saw all of these other amazing mindset people. And I was like, well, if that can't be me, so maybe I'll just stick to business because I do know that. I do have that lived experience. And in the last year and a half, I was like, no, absolutely. 2 years, I'm absolutely mindset is what I want to be doing because it reaches everywhere. It matters. This mindset is one of the key things. And then as I shifted, I've been saying since the beginning, I'm really decided to shift. So 80% of my income came from photography and maybe 15 to 20 came from coaching. And I got to do coaching on 10%, 10% effort. I got to build it really easily, very casually. And I was amazing. And that's how I also had originally built my photography business. It happened very easily for me. I like to this previously I would have said it was luck. I do know now that I do have qualities that make that effortless for me occasionally. So doing that and then getting to the point where this year, like I last couple of years, just going through with photography and treading water, coming to this year, I was like, I really don't want to do that anymore. I've been saying that for years with photography. I'd rather just take like 10 or 13 weddings a year and not, actually have a calendar, actually have my weekends, actually have my time. So having done photography for the last 10 years and actively overbooked myself, actively, sacrificed those things and not really even realizing that they were values of mine. Coming now here, I'm like, oh, getting to look at my calendar for 2023 and seeing more than 3/4 of my weekends open is like a revelation. And it kind of freaked me out. I was like, I don't actually know what to do with all of this extra time. I do, but not right now. Like my little animal brain is like, what are you going to do in this new space? How are you going to adjust? Who do you even have to be this person? So it was an identity shift as well. So anyone, I feel like neurodiverse, with all of our multi-passions, all the things we love and all the things you want to pursue, if and when you switch, there is often like absolutely an identity shift that comes with that you just have to prepare for and navigate. And sometimes it's a little bit tricky. It was a little bit tricky for me for a couple months. And I was like, oh my God, I have to start from scratch. So now not only was I just shifting my mindset and my identity around what I did and how I was going to approach business, I was also changing and shifting my mindset and my identity around who I was. So multi-six-figure, high performer, la, la, la. I was like, oh, well, that was with photography. Well, if I'm not making $300,000 with coaching, can I even call myself that? Like, does that negate everything I've done? Like, of course it does not. Shifting into something new is fine. But that was an interesting transition for me that I wasn't prepared for when I decided to really close down or just, I was taking like 50 weddings a year. I was really getting after it. So shutting it down to like,
Dude, I have just so help me. Aren't there 52 weeks in a year?
There are 52 weeks in a year. I was taking anywhere
50
from
weddings.
2 to 5 weddings a month.
Carry the one. So with coaching then, and as a coach, right? So I run 2 businesses. I run my Mindset Melanie spiritual coaching business. And I'm second in command over at the Neurospicy Academy, which launched at the end of last year. And we're going strong and having the best time. I really used to pride myself when it was just my coaching business on only working 10 to 15 hours a week, right? Because I had gotten everything in place for that and, working with clients and because I don't consider social media work. I love creating content. I already told you I'm creating like 22 pieces of content when we're done here. But now that I'm running these 2 businesses, I have found that as long as the themes of my business are like my special interests, I don't burn out. But I also, my third business, I like to think of it is self-care.
Oh my God. I love that you're qualifying it as that. I literally just ran a workshop yesterday on values and like goal setting and building things around that. And the one thing that is so easy to like forget or just like what people don't realize is that they only value external or business events. And so if it's scheduled, like self-care is always the first thing to go, which I think we are all a little bit aware of that. But the goal setting workshop was specifically for personal goal setting. All right, who's irritated that we're doing personal goals today? And like half the people were like annoyed to be setting personal goals. And I'm like, great. Why would we bother setting a personal goal? It's like, I don't know, like I'm writing goals and I want to talk about the money I want to make or the clients I want to sign or whatever. And I was like, well, and who also has felt like they were really burnt out this year? More than half. I'm like, great. So we're going to shift that by prioritizing and like making self-care an actual business. Like it requires the same care and attention and dedication as do your income producing activities. Like energy and your time are like the income.
And what people don't realize, self-care is an integral part of manifestation, right? I literally just got done talking to my business partner before I came on this call with you and we were talking about it. And I said, because we were talking about how, in the past, before we realized we were neurospicy and we were running in the cycle of burnout where, you work. Like I used to work 30 hours a week in a restaurant and build my business up and go to Target and Walmart. And I can't even go to Target and Walmart in the same day now. So it's like, what I'm talking about. And she goes, how do you stay motivated? And I say, I keep envisioning my future, right? So I want somebody that on my team, I want to build a team that I have a hair and makeup person because I don't want to do it anymore.
Oh my God.
I want a driver, whether the driver's my husband when he retires or not. I want a driver because I never want to drive a car again. I want a couple assistants, right? I have one now, but I want more than that. Like I want a team. It doesn't have to be gigantic, but what I figure is for the universe to know that that's what I want. And if I want the universe to know that I want somebody to do my hair and makeup, I better be religious about taking care of my hair and my makeup, right? I better make a point to do this regularly so that
This is who I am.
because that's who I am, right? So, and if we know that we have to manifest in steps, I know I'm not going to go from, burnt out in bed, not doing anything and showering regularly. There's steps. So showering regularly, taking your makeup off regularly, dyeing your hair regularly. If you're a vivid girl like us, not letting it get to the point where it looks gross and dingy and whatnot. Those are the steps of manifesting, and that is self-care.
Absolutely.
So they go hand in hand.
I love that. Yes.
It makes sense. You mentioned imposter syndrome, and I'm going to grab my microphone again so that everybody hears this for sure, because imposter syndrome is one of my special interests, and I did the rabbit hole deep dive on it. So first and foremost, let's give it up to the two women at the Georgia University that discovered and named imposter syndrome in the 70s. I believe it was 19, and they were psychology professors, for lack of a better term, and they were studying the high achieving collegiate academia women compared to the men. So, it wasn't as, this many women and this many men because, time and the patriarchy. And what they had discovered was that every one of these women could not attribute any parts of their success. They couldn't attribute a promotion. They couldn't attribute an award. They couldn't attribute any of that to their own inherent worth and ability. Every single one of them was saying, oh, everybody else that was up for it must have sucked. Or, oh, I just got lucky. Like they could not attribute it to how much time they had spent perfecting their craft and learning and whatnot. Whereas, let me grab the microphone again. The men literally would get an award and say, thank you. So when we talk about imposter syndrome, what I have also found is very intriguing is that everybody's internal imposter, I call mine Piper. She's always piping up when I don't want to fucking hear from her. They all have a different running dialogue. Like mine always says, who the fuck do you think you are? Why would you think you can do anything for anyone? Right. So I'm curious what yours says to you.
I love that yours is Piper. I haven't really thought of what mine is. Like, I know what she feels like. We're going to call her Regina. We're going to bring in a mean-girl vibe here.
Yeah.
This bitch, she says, oh my God, you're doing that? How embarrassing. How embarrassing for you. That's what you're going to go do this. You're going to go offer this thing and start this business and you're going to charge people. You're charging people that much? Oh my God, how embarrassing. Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
It's embarrassing for you that you're doing that. Oh, you didn't make as much money as you did last year? Oh, how embarrassing. Yikes. That's what mine sounds like. I'm like, oh my God, Regina, enough.
So interesting.
That's what I've had to work through. I just did a breakthrough. I have a friend of mine who does like deep breakthrough days, so mental emotional release. Love that. And it was being able to put that into words. Like, I know I hear her and I know that she's there and I can shove her down, but there's only so much like shoving into a box before I have to like, okay, all right, Regina, let's come out. Let's talk. Let me hear what you have to say and let me respond. Then great. And then we can kind of like get out and I can tell you that I can show you. See, it's not embarrassing because look at this. Remember? And she's like, oh, it's like that full circle of Mean Girls where she's like, oh, okay, I'm not the main character anymore.
Yeah. I saw a TikTok, a girl was talking about her self-doubt and her, inner hater. And now when she starts criticizing herself, she goes, you love me. You're concerned about me. You're trying to keep me safe. I mean something. I am so important to you. Right. And I mean, there's definitely validity to that. And because, our ego and our id and all the other different parts of our human existence here, the brain is designed to keep you safe. And the only thing that the brain considers safe is sameness. So when you are operating on what I call, the big dream spectrum, right? First and foremost, you can't be around people that don't have big dreams. Like I get it now. I don't hang out with anybody that doesn't have their own business or want their own business. I just can't. If you are okay with having a boss and having somebody tell you what to do, you're simply not my flock. That's fine. That's okay. You're allowed to go live your life. I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but I will only be around people who have been where I want to go or who are aiming for big adventures as well.
I feel like that's one of the big things that people like. It's one of the sneaky, I want to say like expenses almost. It's one of the sneaky costs of growing in your entrepreneurship and choosing yourself over and over again on this and choosing to grow and expand. I used to feel really bad about wanting more, which, if anyone knows anything about the subconscious mind, it's program always for more, prime directive of the subconscious mind. So I used to feel bad about wanting more. I'm like, when is it going to be enough? And I was like, oh my God, is it never going to be enough? Like, wait, no, this is fine that I want more. And I know why I want it. But the part of that and choosing myself over and over again, choosing to expand, choosing to raise my prices, choosing elevation or expansion or growth in any sort of way. The rise in my name, choosing to rise means you leave people behind. And that can feel really scary. Like that was one of my big things with like my subconscious, my Regina coming out. Like, oh my God, you're going to go out by yourself. How embarrassing. You're going to be out here all by yourself on this stage on whatever. How embarrassing. So I didn't even really know like, oh, I have to go cultivate a new space. I have to also be okay. Like I don't have to cut these people out of my life, but I do have to curate my conversations. Like those are just not the people I have those conversations with and how cool. Like, but it's scary to do that.
Yeah.
Like my husband is not the person that I have a lot of these conversations with. I have different growth conversations with him. But like even there, like for people who have spouses, partners of any kind, that's not your person to be doing business masterminding unless you're in the business together. They don't have any
What
context.
she just said, say it louder for the people in the back.
Your romantic life partners are not your business partners, period. Get your own therapist, get your own business people, get your own business club, get your own business coach. Come back to your relationships with, here's what I learned, or like, here's what's going on for me. Like, clue them in, bring them in updates, but like masterminding my business with my husband and trying to have like his opinion on my business choices. I value his opinion, but they're not the opinions that I need to be taking in.
Yeah, absolutely.
A different states, different universes of thought and the way we value things. Like I was just going over my expenses with him because I'm like, so that was my transition now with coaching. So I had, of the 240 I made last year, like 100 of it all came from photography. So now cutting that by like 80%, I'm like, great. I'm back under 10K for the first time in like the last 10 years. I'm like, this is a weird space for me to be in, but I do know how to build from here. So it was like, okay, the shoulds, what we talked about earlier, I should have known better. I should have done more. I should have prepared for this. I knew that I wanted this, but I didn't do anything else. How embarrassing. So my Regina George, how embarrassing that you're in this position. You're making less than $10,000 a month. How is anyone going to trust you? I'm like, bitch, shut up. Like one, transition is normal. Ebb and flow is normal. And of course, this is the math is math. The math is mathing. I'm cutting that business by 90. Great. So would my income, obviously. Anyway, so that's part of my transition, just shipping there. And I'm really excited because I do know how, like my own word, I know exactly how to run a business. I know exactly how to grow it. I'm excited for what this next really expansive, multiple six-figure year with just coaching can look like. Amazing. Yeah. I lost my train of thought of what I was talking about before that. What were we talking about?
I don't know. I just love looking at you. Well, if we think about restructuring, right? So I have recently restructured my business as well. I stopped taking clients for months as I was building up the Neurospicy Academy, right? So, and while I'm doing that, working with my business partner, Christina, who's also my coach and also my friend and like, a new life partner essentially is what she is for me. Christina with the blue hair. I love her. And she has taken such an effort in understanding how to communicate with me as a PDA autist. So persistent drive for autonomy. Like literally one of the first things my mom ever told my husband when we first started dating was, you don't tell Mel what to do. And he goes, oh yeah, I know that one. I know that already. I figured that one out. And so working with her and, running things by her, I realized that I had to reposition my coaching company and my target clients based on the fact that I had been doing everything intuitively up until that point, right? So figuring out how to grow my social media, I knew how to do social media and whatnot, and I knew how to have a content creation strategy and all that, but literally everything I've done thus far has been intuitive. As an energy healer, psychic intuitive, and mindset coach, I have that. I'm very fortunate to have that ability, but what she was able to do with me was hone in with these multi-level avatars so that, because, when I was running my coaching business, yes, I knew I was going after, but I wasn't specifically targeting the quote unquote right people. So I wasn't always getting the best result and I wasn't getting the best testimonials from people because I was just, oh yeah, I'll take you. Oh yeah, I'll take you. Oh yeah. Right. And if you're, as a coach, if you're taking on people that aren't willing to do the work, you may be collecting money every month, but it's not going to do your business any favor because there's no proof in the pudding, right? So as I, stopped taking clients for a minute and totally restructured, I created this new program called the Mindset Mastery Launchpad, where I literally teach you how to build your bubble so that you can take your business from those pivotal transition points, right? So a lot of people are going from their muggle job and building their business to just their business full time, right? So like, it's real, right? And I can tell when our members of the academy have been in their muggle job for a long time and they haven't been focusing on their business, I can tell because it's a different state of mind that they're in, right?
So it's way to give people a wand when they come into your program.
Yeah, I'm all about the magic. You know that. And then to help people in that other pivotal time where they're going from successful business owner to industry leader and getting paid to speak on big stages and writing the book and building the team and whatnot. Those are pivotal moments in a business owner, especially neurospicy's life, where that imposter syndrome comes in, that rejection sensitivity comes in, the intrinsic motivation starts to waver and dissipate a little bit, where you're just like, I was doing so good over here. I was in 8th fucking grade and now I'm signing up for 9th grade and I'm going to go, what's the small fish again?
Where are my friends? Where's the classroom? Yeah.
Absolutely. So how would you say then, while you're going through this transition, how have you combated that rejection sensitivity and whatnot? Because I mean, imposter syndrome and rejection sensitivity go hand in hand, and feeling like, okay, well, I had all this going for me. What the fuck did I do now?
Oh my God. Now that's kind of that. I love that. That's the phrase. Well, now what do I do? Well, now what? I have a whole lived experience of being really successful, of building this incredible thing. And now I've decided to shift directions. Like really, that's just really hilarious to me too. It's like, we talk about manifestation a lot. I had been saying for fucking years, I'm like, I can't wait to take like 10 weddings a year. I'm so excited to pivot to being 90% coaching, 10% photography. And here I am. I'm like, no, this is exactly what I asked for. Okay, it's happening. All right, this is fine. Okay, it's happening. What was your question? I forgot already.
How do you combat the rejection sensitivity and the imposter syndrome and all of it? Of like, what? Like, how do you keep moving forward?
Serial perfectionist. I know, how exhausting, how embarrassing. Another thing from my little brain that says, my Regina. So I say, I identify with being a perfectionist. I function that way. I notice that behavior and that pattern in myself. My Regina says, and you're not even perfect. So how embarrassing.
Do you have any Virgo placement?
I don't think so. I think I'm Taurus, Gemini, something. I'm a Taurus sun, Gemini rising, I think.
I love Gemini.
That's a great question. Now, hold on. Now I have to look. What is it? CoStar is the app?
No, not CoStar. God, no. No.
I would like to be, I'm a tiny baby witch. I'm like, I know what I am. And I don't, that's it.
Well, it's interesting because perfectionism, with your mindset training, is really just a form of self-sabotage so we can control the outcome.
I cannot tell you how much I hated when I read that for the first time. I was like, you sneaky bitch. So absolutely perfection being like, self-sabotage central. So anyway, with that, my whole mindset since probably I started doing this in October of last year. And I was like, I just want to fuck around and find out. That's what I'm here for. I'm just going to fuck around and find out. My poor VA, bless her heart. She's like, okay, we have to plan out a launch. And we got to let's forecast. And so I work fine with that, but I'm the person who buys a gift and I want to give it to you immediately. I cannot buy a gift for you months in advance. I'm like, here it is. So for me, trying to fit into launch plans and launch windows, I absolutely know that I'm going to do that and have that be a great pipeline that supports me energetically, that helps me be the $1 million person who is supported by her team has a launch plan. So I'm like, okay, for now, I'm going to just fuck around and find out. I'm going to put out offers that I like, that energize me. I'm going to see how they do. And I'm going to probably offer them 2 or 3 more times and adjust them. If I fucking hate it, I don't have to do it again, but I get to keep trying. So my whole thing this year has been fuck around and find out and just go try it. Everything is data. That's my hobby. Everything is data. Let's fuck around and find out. Anything that comes back, I have felt a lot of fear of rejection. I'm like, oh my God, what if it doesn't work out? I'm like, well, I won't know until I put it out there. Everything is just data. So doing my workshop yesterday, I was like, you know what? I don't really know what this is for. I know where it's going to go. So I can draw where it's going to go and how I'm going to funnel it. And I know what it means from a marketing perspective, but I don't really know what it looks in the space. So I made a presentation. I probably hate making presentations, but I made one. I barely followed it. So went through and I was like, all right, here's what I loved. Here's what I didn't. Being able to shift the perspective and just pull my emotional self out, physically. I'll sit there and I'm like, all right, time to take emotions out. Let's look at this data. What did we learn? What did we love? What did the participants love? What was the transformation? That has been the most helpful for me. And it sounds a lot easier than it can be if you haven't done it before, but I will physically sit there, take a deep breath, and I will grab with my hands from the top of my head or wherever you feel your emotions and pull that out and just kind of set it down for a second. Can I look at this objectively? Any of this rejection, any of this success even means nothing about me. Why? Because I am I had my own intrinsic worth. This was just a fun exploration. And I'll find that I get to suck around and find out. That has been my big perspective shift. Not that I don't ever like, oh, if it's going to be good or not, but I can always come back to, okay, if I took the emotion out of this, what could I do? And when I say emotion, it's not excitement. It's not any of that. It's the fear, the rejection, the anything that means anything. But that's been really helpful for me. So going and just offering. If I want to offer something, I'm going to go offer it. And I'm going to use it as data and I'm going to play with it. The main thing, I've written my values out and I am a fun person. If it's not fun, I don't want it. I don't want that. Thank you. Bye. If it's not like sparkly fun and whatever, by my little background here, I don't want it. And I forget that. Whenever I go to make something, when in the past, I'd make something that sounded right or sounded good or what I should be making, what made sense. And they did make sense. And kind of like you said, like I could take their clients and I could, solve some problems and make some money and kind of plod along. But being able to tune into this, like if it's fun, I want to do it. How can I make this more fun? How can I make this even easier? Yeah. It's like, how can I replenish myself, replenish my people? And how can we facilitate the right strategies, the right bumper lanes, the right vision to whatever next level we want to be rising to. Yeah. And that's been so helpful for me. So helpful for my clients. Like, who fucking cares? First of all, everything matters and nothing matters. So why not just fuck around and find out, use the data, make decisions and keep going.
Yeah.
All you have to worry about is today.
Yeah. When it comes to really living in the moment, being mindful and present and aware, we know as neurospicy that we can dissociate at the drop of a hat. Thank God it's gotten us this far and we needed it for this long amount of time, right? Always appreciate everything that was serving us and then recognize when it's no longer serving us. But if we can operate from, so I saw TikTok the other day that said, so imagine, I have baked into my daily routine and schedules and systems for my business and for my personal life scrolling time because it's so important to my business to stay on top of all this. But this TikTok said, so imagine you won the lottery, right? $1 million in the lottery, whatever number feels good. And you go to your bank and you say, okay, I'm going to deposit this check. And your bank says, okay, it's just going to take 7 to 10 days for this check to clear and hit your account because we got to move some money around. How would you operate in those next 7 to 10 days, knowing that you were fully taken care of when the check clears? That is how you want to operate moving forward to successfully manifest all of your goals and your hopes and your dreams, because anything other than that, worrying about what's my next client going to be and when's this money going to come and is second guessing the universe. It's worrying about
absolutely. I had like my first like 6K month and which is again, like the universe, a 6K month is still a great month, but I was like failure, loser, embarrassing. Oh my God, freak out. I was like, all right, well, I need to go get my shit together because no one can know that this happened. I'm like, oh my God. And so for me, even with that, to step out, like, first of all, this is kind of like on a tangent, but like the things we say to ourselves, and I'll speak for me, the things I say to myself, I would never, ever, ever, ever say to anyone else. So mean, so rude, so awful, some of the things I say to myself. And in the same way, like the way I judge anything in my business, I would never, ever, ever judge my clients for the same things. Ever. No, like, and so again, when I get into those little like tizzies, like, I'm in a tizzy, something's happening, sit down, come back. Okay. What's happening right now? Like the 5 things. It feels like a mini panic attack sometimes. So I come back into my body and physically pull it out. Okay. If I were looking at myself and if I were going to treat myself as a coach, like me over here, I can coach this Chelsea. Future Chelsea can come in and coach me. How would I treat myself? Kindly, with grace? What advice would I offer? What knowledge and wisdom would I have to share? Okay. These are true. This is the truest version here. This higher version of myself who's coming in to talk to me. I'm just having a tizzy and that's fine. It'll be over in a second and I'll have all this new knowledge, all this new grace, all this new kindness I can give to myself. Instead of just previously, I would just live there, I'd move into panic town, just sit there, not talk to anybody, not ask for support. And even that, like you're saying, like if we want to be these $1 million, whatever metric versions of ourselves, our best selves, who are supported, like I want a team too. I want like multiple assistants. I want a personal assistant. I want a massage every other day. Like I know what I want for my self-care and for my life. Living in panic town, those services do not exist there for that version of myself. So moving out, coming back into reality. What do I need to do to actually every day, little by little, be aligning myself with the person who has that life, manifesting your business? Like the workshop I did yesterday was a lot of deeper work on values and really honing down. And a lot of people, I would say, because I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and me being an entrepreneur like forever, my values have always been business-based values. So of course I want time, and of course I want freedom, and who doesn't want those things? But being able to hone in a little bit more on the values of what really drives me and what really, really matters makes all the decisions so much easier. I've noticed for me, and people who are listening might know, also feel this, is having previously had a lack of confidence in making decisions. So I'm stewing over decisions. That was my biggest like low confidence like activity, was how can I stew over this conversation? Oh my God, hold on.
Everyone's okay.
Everyone, my husband making noises in the kitchen. Values. So for me, being able to hone down in on these values, like that was the most frustrating thing for me, was being unable to make decisions really confidently and clear, like have a fuck yes and a fuck no. I was always like, wait, maybe you have pros and cons list until I, passed out. So having values and being able to make really confident decisions. So that every day that every goal you set, every strategy you put in place, everything you say to yourself, everything you do or don't do is absolutely going to be within those bumper lanes of, yes, this is what I said. This is what I've agreed to. This is how I take care of myself, my self-care. This is how I honor what I want my future self to be. If I'm out of bounds, I'll know. And I can decide, is it worth it to be out of bounds for this? Sometimes, there's things that we maybe move around, but having those like solid values, even with all of this like fucking around and finding out, I know that play is a value of mine. I know that having fun is a value of mine. I know that having grace and kindness are values. So fucking around and finding out are ways that I get to practice that for myself. And absolutely, the top tier version of myself is fucking around and finding out in really fun ways. I know that for me, it's true.
Yeah. When we really, when we go after goals, but we release our attachment to how it has to happen, right? Like I always tell people, when it comes to manifesting, you're in charge of the what, not the how. You are in charge of the what, not the how. The universe has to do their portion of the work. You have to do your portion of the work. That's all it is, right? So if you know that you want to impact your community, you have to know what that community is. You have to know in what way you want to do that, right? So like I know that I'm going to be on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, right? So I know those are my preferred choices and preferred methods. Now the universe is going to help me get it to the right people as long as I show up regularly and authentically, right? So when it comes to balancing, I have decided to move forward with the goal of harmony in my life and business, because balancing shows two things, right? Two things being in equilibrium, whereas harmony, if we think about it in terms of like vocal harmony and all that sort of stuff, it's different tones, it's different levels,
Many
and it can
different
grow
parts.
and change, ebb and flow, right? So how would you say, between all of the responsibilities and things that are pulling us for our time, because as an entrepreneur, personal life and business interweave all day, every day, right? So it's like, all right, I know if I have date night on Saturday night or going out with the girls or whatever it is, I'm gonna work up until this point and I'm gonna go do the thing, right? So how would you say you find the harmony and the balance and all of it?
I love that you say harmony. One of the very first group programs I ever put on, one of the tenets, like the main pillar, is with harmony over hustle. And so a lot of like everyone's prioritizing hustle. And I love a little bit of hustle. Like I think like that's action. That's just inspired action of the hustle, the toxic hustle when we get into trouble. But harmony over hustle, or harmony in harmony with hustling. So I love that you mentioned that I'm a singer. Like I love to sing. I love music. So having harmony is like, that's such a beautiful way to look at it, is the coming together of different things, of different people, of different everything. I like the balance does feel like, oh, we have two things, like, the scale, right? Harmony is all these different things. We can have an ebb and flow. There can be higher, lower, different timbers, flavors, spices, whatever. So for me to be in harmony, like my biggest thing this year, and in teaching this with my clients, is like the values kind of, it feels like this little harmony hammock of like, all right, I can swing either way, but I'm held, I'm comfortable, or I'm comforted, and I'm safe. And I trust that I am within the bounds of, my best self, of making sure that I'm acting, behaving, attracting, engaging with my role in the way that feels most harmonious. And my biggest thing, and I'm like coaching this in my clients, because I don't think we have a lot of this awareness, or we learn to shut it down, and being aware of when we're not in harmony, when it feels disharmonious. Like, what can you feel and can you notice it? And can you pay attention to it first? Like, it's like that sour note, like in a harmony, when someone is off, you're like, who is it?
Who is it?
Who is it? No, you're off. Like, that's not it. So being able to tune into that and just having a notice of like, what is off? Why is it off? Am I judging it? Is that why it feels off? Or is it actually something that I can let go of or release or adjust? Like coming from that total toxic hustle culture era, it was a lot of like, stuff it down, doesn't matter. Stuff it down, doesn't matter. You follow these 5 steps. You don't like it, you must not care about your business. You must not want to succeed. You must not give a shit. Like, unless you follow these 5 steps exactly, don't reinvent the wheel. Like, this is how it's done. And I was like, okay, I hate this. But I mean, I guess I'm getting results. Fast forward a year later, I'm like, I fucking hate this business that I built. Oh my God. Ew, all these strategies are giving me the ick. Everything is icky. And there is no harmony here because it was just all off. And I'd be like, no, you guys sound great. Everyone's doing great. Just keep going. This is fine.
Yeah.
So I think having the confidence to honor that in yourself and just even learning what harmony feels like, because it's different for me. It's different for you. It's different for everybody.
And it can change. That's why.
Oh my God.
Sometimes, right? Like, it's about to be June. Do you know what happens in June? My kids are out of school. We go camping down at Jenny Springs where we're swimming in 7-degree water. Everybody's falling asleep at 8:30 p.m. when the sun goes down. Everybody's waking up when the sun comes up. And we're outside and we're stinky and we're having a good ass time, right? My goals and my life is different in June than it is in January.
I love that so much. Yes, because people are like, oh, I did one thing and I feel great now. And that'll, like, this one coaching session or this one breakthrough is going to last me. I'm good. I'm great. I'm like, no, babe, that shit's like a bath. Like, every day you renew it. Every month you renew it. So there's like giving enough of a shit to check in on regular intervals. I know consistency can be hard, but like, what a gift to give yourself of that consistency, checking in. Is anything out of place right now?
Yeah.
What's out of place? Why is it out of place? And just noticing. You don't have to go fixing it, but just noticing that it's there. I have a lot of clients who, and I've had this too. So of course I have clients who've had this, where we will touch on the same topic several times throughout the year of working together. And they're like, I thought we did this already.
If I had a nickel for every time somebody says that. My God.
Why are we talking about this again? I'm like,
I already did my inner child work. Why are we still talking to her? It's like, oh, okay.
I thought I dealt with this. Oh my God. Yeah. Like, for me, like, I have CPTSD. And so like, even then I'm like, I thought I was done with this. How embarrassing that you're going through this again. You're having another episode. How embarrassing. Like, get yourself together. But all of that, like, the seasons change. Ebb and flow is normal. Like, your values might change depending on where you are throughout the year, where you are in your life. Maybe if you have kids or if you don't have kids, if you like, just in general. I think this is one thing that I had to confront too, was being in photography. Even before I started coaching, I waited for a really long time because I was like, oh, well, you're not a real whatever unless that's all you are. Like, people give photographers a ton of shit for being like a mom photographer or like a hobby photographer. That they're not real, like if they still have another job or whatever. Like, there's this whole super judgmental, very cliquey, gross thing in the photography world. It's gross. I know, it's super gross. And so I was like, oh my God, am I not going to be a real person if I'm just doing this thing? If I start another business, does it mean I'm not real in either of them? And I was like, oh my God, okay, we're gonna put that in the trash because that's not true. But this idea, and I'll speak for my experience, the identity that comes with being one thing, I have to be the master of this one thing. And that was so stifling. So I never wanted to start anything new, even though I had so many ideas and so many things I wanted to pursue. I was like, well, I have to just be this or I'm valid. So all this worth, and like, do I value as myself? Whatever. Oh my God. But that gets to change. Like, I love being a photographer and only a photographer forever. And I really, really loved it. And it made so much sense for so much of my life to do that. Yeah. Now entering a new stage, I think I'm on like my Saturn's return or whatever too. Like, coming through there, oh, this is not all I want to be. This is not all of who I am. And what a gift, again, if I can give myself the permission and the space to find, like, add in a new part of the harmony, make it a little more complex, find a new thing that feels really good. And maybe it gets even better. And maybe we do drop some things here and there. So being able to routinely just give yourself the gift of like a self audit, find a friend, like find the right friends, find the right people that you can do self audits with and have an awareness with each other. You can share these revelations or just have that safe space, but you get to change your mind. I think that's my favorite thing. Like, you can always change your mind. Bucking around and finding out, if I offer a program or a service and I love it for 3 months, but I hate it in the fourth, I can stop offering it. I can change my mind. I can refund clients if I really wanted to. Like, the only boundary, like the only imposed jail time that we have is really just the ones we put on ourselves. And like, why? Change your mind. If you don't like it, change your mind. I think there's a lot of rejection and fear for me, at least. And I've seen this in my clients. It's like, well, what if I do this new thing and it doesn't work out? And then what if I don't recover? And then what if this, like, what if all of this?
The spiral.
The spiral. Oh my God. There's like, whoop, and they're just gone. I'm like, oh my God, let's come back. Oh, we're not going over there. Come back, babe. We're living here. Let's discuss. So yeah, I think it feels strange for people to change their mind. It feels strange to feel like, oh, does this mean I'm not committed? Does this mean I'm not serious if I change my mind? Like, am I, the words I've heard, am I wishy-washy? Am I unreliable?
Yeah.
I
think in actuality, as an entrepreneur, you're the one in charge. You're the one running the show. Nobody's coming to you saying, what's your next step? Like, you're coming to yourself saying, what's the next step? Yeah, it's so funny. All right. So before we get to the lightning round of neurospicy questions, which are just fun and going to make all of the listeners understand that ADHD, everybody has it. No. It's a neurospicy community. These are just the fun questions that we can all identify with. Before we get to them, I will have you go ham and plug your spot. Tell us all about Replenish and Rise, how everybody can find you. Of course, your links and everything are going to be available for all of the listeners. But tell us all about it. How can we work with you? What do you have going on?
Amazing. Yeah. So I'm on TikTok and Instagram mostly. I keep edging towards YouTube. I'm edging myself with YouTube. Do I? Anyway, so with Replenish and Rise, right? And I'm like, it feels almost good to be. Yeah. Anyway, so with Replenish and Rise, I'm on Instagram and TikTok mostly. You can find me there. I have a membership that's open to everyone who vibes with Replenish and Rise, who wants to feed themselves, rise to whatever their next level is. I have a lot of muggles in those spaces, so it's open to muggles. If by any crazy chance a muggle has made it this far into this podcast, there's space for you there. Probably not, but there is space for you there. I do group coaching and one-to-one coaching, and I also offer private client retreats. So it's like a 2-day retreat. It's really fun. I incorporate now my other passion of photography, so we make it this beautiful weekend. A lot of my clients, instead of business headshots, they end up doing boudoir. So it's this really fun, like boudoir and business sesh. It's great. It's amazing. So come and find me. It's under my name. You can Google Replenish and Rise and I'll come up. But if you are looking for me, it's just my name, Chelsea Abril. Also, I'm sure that's going to be in the show notes. But yeah, I work with entrepreneurs, helping them with mindset, transformation, confidence, and clarity. That is so fucking fun.
Yeah. All right. So for the lightning round, what is your favorite social media?
I hate that my first answer was Instagram. It's absolutely TikTok. Big time.
Good. We can continue.
Good.
Second one.
Both over.
Yeah, right. We're still friends. Don't worry. All right. What is your most recent rabbit hole you have gone down?
My Euro trip. My cousin is here and she's going to Europe and she called me on Wednesday. She's like, you want to go to Europe on Friday? I was like, I sure do. So I'm planning a Europe trip in 4 days.
I'm so excited. Where are you going first?
I'm going to try and line up my trip with her. She's going to her trip is Paris, Amsterdam, Switzerland,
Paris
Rome,
right now?
Florence. I know. She's just passing through. She's like, I have friends there and they said it's not crazy, but we're just, that's how all our travels are passing through.
I mean, they know how to protest over in Paris. We could take a note. Well, that's so exciting. That is so exciting. Okay. Third question. What is your emotional support show?
Ooh, we go between New Girl and The Office most frequently.
Excellent. Mine is Parks and Rec.
Schmidt is my comfort character. Parks and
Rec. I try and get into New Girl and I can't. I don't know what it is about. Probably because I'm surrounded by dudes.
I love Schmidt.
I'm surrounded by dudes in my life with my husband and my kids and my dogs. I don't need to be the only other girl surrounded by dudes when I go to an emotional sports show. But I really like Parks and Rec because I believe that each one of those characters represents one aspect of a positive mindset. And I believe all of them are neurospicy.
Oh, for sure.
All right. The fourth one. Have you consumed any water today?
No, but I have consumed approximately 180 milligrams of caffeine on an empty stomach.
ADHD. Everybody can identify. All right. And then the last one. What is your current dopamine snack?
Ooh, grapes. I have those cotton candy grapes. I have them in 3 different flavors. A row in my fridge is just all grapes.
Candy. I think I've seen those in the store. Don't tell my kids.
They're candy heart grapes. They're so good.
Good. And grapes are full of antioxidants. Very good for you,
I've been graping away for the past 2 weeks.
That's how you age in reverse. Hell yeah. All right, my lovely, sweet angel friend, Chelsea, thank you so much for being on. And thank you so much to the listeners that we have out there in the interweb world. And anything else you want to leave us with?
I'm so happy to be here. And if you are feeling lonely, there's so much room for community if you give yourself just a little bit of a space to go and look for it. If you are in your expansion and your growth phase, it can get lonely. It does get better. There are people out there for you.
100% agree with you. All right, bye guys.